as the high-flying Spartans host the Purdue Boilermakers. And Gene Cady, in his 25th year, coming to East Lansing for the final time with a team that is desperate right now for its first victory in the Big Ten. Welcome, everybody. Along with Steve Lavin, I'm Brett Musburger. Pleasure to have you along with us here tonight. Boy, you talk about a couple of coaches. What Tom Izzo has done here in East Lansing with the Spartan program, and then Gene Cady through the years. But you know, both of them, Steve, are really coming off tough losses.
A little heartbreaking loss for Michigan State to the Badgers on Sunday, and Purdue struggled all year long. But great coaches, these two in particular, Tom Izzo, Gene Cady, have made a career of bouncing back, being resilient. They'll go toe-to-toe for the entire 40 minutes. Tonight is like Jack Dempsey against Rocky Marciano. You better bring the mouthpiece, tighten up the shoelaces, baby.
And the best in officials, Jimmy Bird, Tim Higgins, and Ted Valentine, along to officiate this one. Purdue with the first possession of the game. And Landry, their leading scorer, has it deflected on the floor. Diving loose ball right away, the kind of game we expect.
Mano-mano for Michigan State, Brent, coming out man-to-man. We're going to see both teams play a lot of mano-mano.
Here's McKnight. 8 on the shot. Purdue bringing it down. Wants to play at a low-scoring pace. Dillon penetrates halfway down, in and out of bounds. And our T.D. Waterhouse starting lineup. You can see Anderson, Davis, Egger, Brown, and Hill against Landry, Kiefer, Teague, Dillon, and McKnight for the Boilermakers. Here's Davis in low, off the iron, gets back his own miss, comes back. Still no score, but the Spartans controlling the offensive glass. Knocked out of bounds, Purdue ball. Steve, I think we saw there that the Spartans so determined after that tough loss. I mean, they just let it evaporate in Madison in the last couple of minutes. I mean, 8 points disappeared, whoop, like that.
Well, a combination. They relied a little bit too much on the perimeter. They missed some front ends of some one-and-ones. And then defensively, they weren't able to get the stop. But give Bo Ryan and his Badgers credit. A lot of it has to do with the fact they're pretty tough at the Kohl Center.
Meanwhile, Purdue lost a heartbreaker in double overtime to their rival, Indiana. There's a follow-up story to that. We'll get to that when we can. Kiefer with the jump hook. Michigan State 1 and out. Scoreless here in East Lansing, just underway at a Big Ten. Penetrating by Hill, and he'll be on the free throw line to shoot the evening's first free throws.
Great officiating crew here. 3 Final Four officials. Jimmy Burr, Teddy Valentine.
Jimmy Higgins out there with the 2 of them.
Doesn't get much better than these 3.
In fact, I walked into their locker room for a little pregame chat, and I said, what do we got here? Final Four game tonight. Brown to the glass. And the Spartans jump out.
Nice penetration by Shannon Brown. Good slasher, putting the ball on the floor, can shoot it from long distance. Tremendous athlete.
Over to the Spartans again, and so Purdue having difficulty scoring. Cady up. We'll have some great facial expressions. There's that familiar scowl playing East Lansing for the final time tonight. Open underneath, and Brown puts it down again. Shannon Brown, the sophomore from Proviso East, outside of Chicago. One-time teammate of D. Brown, goes airborne.
Well, we talked about his vertical, the ability to get up in the air. Coach Cady disappointed. Talking to Timmy Higgins there. Guess he thought it was a little confusion over whether it was a foul or not. But that play there was a result of Brandon McKnight diving after the ball 75 feet from the basket. We've talked before, Brent, about activity versus achievement. And that's an example there. A hustle play, but you got to be smarter than that. 80 feet from the basket, you got to sprint back, build your defense, build your shell. That led to that breakdown defensively, a wide open layup.
The Spartans jump out to a quick 5-zip lead. Landry is fouled trying to penetrate the JC All-American. His first year with the Boilermakers. He carries the load offensively for this team, averaging better than 17 points a game. Hits 61% from the field, most of them very high percentage shots. He likes to get in down low to the basket. But the Boilermakers are searching for firepower. They cannot lose contact against this highly favored Spartan team early.
Little zone defense here, matchup zone, the old Judd Heathcote, 1-2-2, matchup zone. Michigan State won the national title with it when they had Magic and Kelser and company.
Dillon spins, knocked away in McKnight's hands, and there's plenty of time. He'll reset. Spartans go to dig back in. McKnight's open, drains the 3 ball.
Knight struggled at times this year, but he has a nice stroke, is capable of having big nights in the field.
Anderson tries to answer and can't. Rebound Purdue, and now they can tie it. Headman's Dillon, pull up for the tie. No. That'll rebound. There's Landry's game right there.
Really like Landry. Reminds me a lot of Malik Rose.
Brown cut off, throws up an awkward shot. Davis comes down with the offensive rebound. He's stripped by Purdue. Boilermaker basketball. So a good burst by Purdue, and they're right back in this.
Let's take a look, Brent, at Landry. Setting a nice screen here to set up the 3-point shot against that zone defense. A little bit of confusion. You can screen against the zone. No one there to help, to step up. Brandon McKnight knocks it down.
And immediately, Izzo, after that offensive rebound, goes to his football player, Matt Trannon, number 20, checks in. Purdue is going to shoe light here. Keeper fouled as he attacks from the left baseline.
Brandon McKnight's shoe fell off in the backcourt. It's been that kind of year for the Boilermakers. Just a tough season for them. Can't catch a break. Been in a lot of ball games. You have to, we said strap it up and tie those shoelaces at the outset of the broadcast. You got to tighten them up for a game like this. Izzo and Gene Katie. Really is Dempsey and Rocky Marciano. That's why it's appropriate we have such a strong officiating crew here for a game like this, because when 2 physical teams go toe-to-toe, chest-to-chest, it can sometimes get out of hand.
You think we'll get to the one-on-one fast, huh? You think so? Okay. As Andrew Ford checks in for the Boilermakers to work in that backcourt. And now Keeper shooting for a Purdue lead, and they're up by a point. But Matt Trannon, we certainly want to talk about him. He was able to join the Spartans a little bit earlier this year because John L. Smith's team did not go to a bowl game. Trannon was a great all-around high school football and basketball player at Flint Northern High School. In fact, he was the high school player of the year, as selected by one of the magazines. Now Ager handling for the Spartans. Hill's out on top. The point guard. We'll see young Neitzel before too long. Here is Ager, athletic, out on top of the circle. Brown will try to get baseline, and Davis will step out. Almost stolen. Now down to 8 on the shot against his Boilermaker defense in front of Katie's bench. Against the shot clock, air ball, but Brown was not sealed off that side, and Katie can't believe that no one was over there to put a body on him. The old coach is still full of fire.
One of the great home courts in all of college basketball right there. McHale Center, Cole Center, Breslin Center. In terms of big venues, doesn't get much better.
Fouled on the shot. We'll have a shooting foul coming up. We're going to take a break first, but Purdue will be on the free throw line, trailing by a point.
The NCAA Women's Basketball Championship coming in March.
And it tastes good, too.
But Matt Trannon, a football player, he was John L. Smith's second leading receiver during the regular season. He's a 6'6" junior. Watch Drew Stanton here. This is against Wisconsin. Trannon for the touchdown. The Badgers were denied a trip to the Rose Bowl because Michigan State won that game. And in talking to Tom Izzo and asked him, what's his best game, football or basketball? He said, well, he loves to play basketball. He's like a lot of football players. But I truly believe that his best game is football, that he has a better professional life ahead of him. He's a little bit undersized to play in the NBA as a power forward, but as a wide receiver and with the speed he's got, he could make a long career for himself in the NFL. But they love having him on a basketball team, Steve.
Well, Coach Izzo also mentioned today about his toughness that he brings to the practice floor, and also his intelligence. Picks up the plays, understands how to play the game, really reads and reacts well, because they have a thick playbook, Michigan State.
That's Charles Davis. He's the other football player who's here this Steve. He's a tight end and a real good one for Joe Tiller down at Purdue. Now, they did go to a bowl game, and so he joined the Purdue basketball team a little bit later than Trannon did here. And David Teague at the free throw line, fouled in the act of shooting that three. Now he'll fire for the lead, and Teague has got it. Now here's someone that the Boilermakers can count on with that hand injury he had. He was slowed for a long time, but he seems to be getting better and better as the season progresses.
Well, when he gets his legs under him, he's a lights-out shooter. Sometimes each shot looks a little bit different, and that's when he gets streaky and goes into some cold spells. But Purdue needs him to play well.
Drew Neitzel has checked in at the guard spot. Timbo Gracchus also out there, and Davis attacks. Steve, what's your scouting report on Davis? What do you think of the junior here for the Spartans coming to the line?
Nice job here posting up inside, creating a vacuum or a pocket of space, a big target to throw to, and using the glass. Here's another angle on it. Again, drawing the foul strong, muzzling to the hoop there for the N1. I like Davis. Tremendous upside, a real prospect. We see Michigan State with a little full-court pressure here. Brett trying to turn up the tempo. They want to push it, transition, full-court press. Sometimes Davis a little introspective, a little too thoughtful, maybe almost philosophical, and gets down on himself, a perfectionist. And that burden sometimes can weigh on you. You lose your confidence. You beat yourself up too much. He's working on that, trying to have more fun this year.
Tough Spartan defense right now. The Boilermakers searching for that open look as we're down inside of 10 on the shot. They're keeping Landry away from the glass. The crowd tried to influence Ford. He knew. Here's Kiefer. Air ball, and there's Landry on the other side. And that's who Izzo wants Trannon to be able to stop here tonight.
Well, really interesting. Carl Landry, whose brother is going to play at Wisconsin next year. A fine prospect, leads Purdue in rebounding and scoring. Again, reminds me of Malik Rose. One of those difficult matchups because he's quick enough and skilled enough to take slower, bigger players off the dribble. Yet inside, he can post up smaller players. Great versatility.
Now, is it Jalen or Malik he reminds you of?
Malik.
That about. It's nice to kick on over the other side. Torbert ships baseline. Gracchus' father was an athlete here at East Lansing. Now the shot down inside to 5. Torbert's got a fire. There's an air ball, and that's a violation, and it'll go over to the Boilermakers, who are off to a fine start against Izzo's Spartans.
Purdue defensively has had some picture-perfect defensive possessions. They shot an air ball. Unfortunately, it's hard to anticipate how to box out or where the ball's going to come off on an air ball. There we have the shot clock violation. Very solid start for Purdue.
That's Delco Raleigh, the 6'8 junior from Indianapolis, checking in for the Spartans. Izzo figures to go 10 deep quickly. Landry steps out. He's starting to carry the load. Swiped beautifully. Neitzel gives it over to Bo Gracchus. Missed on the shot. And Landry with a strong follow would not give Torbert the rebound. Teague for the lead.
We talked about Teague being streaky. He's capable of getting it going. The coaches today at practice talked about he'll dominate sometimes in practice and get in the game and really struggle. Purdue pushing the ball very sharp here early in transition. Michigan State, rare when they're caught napping, not playing alert in transition and finding people. That was a contested shot, though. Give T credit.
Davis checks in. So Purdue's football player is on the floor. That'll rebound. Davis has it knocked away into Neitzel's hands. Trannon out with a high pick and roll. Landry's taking Trannon down low, denying him the ball. Here's the quarterback of the future for the Spartans. Torbert putting it down. They come down toward 10 on the shot. Torbert fires a 3. Purdue's ball. Boilermakers playing well in the early going. Lead at 12-10.
Impressive, Brent, too, coming off that heartbreaking double overtime loss to the Hoosiers. But again, great coaches have the resilience to bounce back. Their team reflects their personality.
Turn it over on the pass. So David Teague was cutting away when Davis threw it off his hand, and that's the 3rd turnover of the evening for the Boilermakers.
Drew Neitzel, a freshman, still learning what it takes, how you have to elevate your game when you get into conference play. And every night, you've got an upperclassman defending you like Brandon McKnight.
You know, Steve, what we saw in that scintillating Arizona-UCLA game out west on Saturday and here tonight, in the college game now, every trip you've got to go hard. Anderson does just that.
Nice little clear aside there by Michigan State. They like to push it in transition. A lot of freedom for Tom Izzo's team in transition. On the half court, they've got a very thick playbook, almost like an NFL playbook.
And Davis scores off the pass from Dillon. And the Spartans come right back with Brown slamming it down. The young man is only a sophomore. He represents part of a very bright future here at State. Tom Izzo does not have just a good team. He has a great program.
You talk about wide receiver speed. Shannon Brown can get out and fly. Michael Irvin, Jerry Rice like speed. Put him on a fly pattern.
McKnight up with the J. Spartans ball, and now it's their turn to try to get the lead. Quickly to Brown's hands.
This is where they'll execute in the half court, try and get into a set. Neitzel looks a little bit winded out there.
Anderson's on the baseline with 11.5 to go. Shoots down, has it rejected into McKnight's hands.
Ball never changed sides of the floor. Coach Izzo doesn't like that.
Davis wanted it down low, and they didn't see him. He was open at the baseline. Now he pops out on top. He's very active, passing over the top. Landry saves it.
Purdue very crisp offensively, making the extra pass. Very active defensively. Both ends of the floor. Gene Katie has to be happy with the Boilermakers.
On the shot now. Landry with that high pick and roll. 2 on the shot. Knocked away from McKnight. And that's a foul. We'll take a break. Purdue bailed out by the whistle that time when we come back. Losing at courtside.
Yeah, Brent, it was an extraordinary sort of 1 in a million situation there at Purdue. And while Tom O'Neill and his crew were doing the best they could, obviously came up with the wrong result at the end. It worked out where they got to a second overtime because Landry missed the free throw, but the result should have been, because the ball was still in his hand as time expired, he should have been awarded only 2 free throws, and Tom O'Neill should not have consulted the replay in order to determine whether the foul call had beat the buzzer. He needed to make that determination and that judgment live without consulting the replay. The replay should have been consulted only to see whether the ball left the shooter's hand, and Brent, as you and Steve pointed out, clearly it did not.
Yeah, exactly. And, Jay, you'll get a kick out of this. I went into the officials here because I'd never heard of continuation in the college game. Obviously, we've got it in the NBA. But I went and I said, what's the situation? And Tim Higgins said, you know, if I'd have made that call, he'd have made the free throw. you know what a mess we'd have had.
And you know what's really interesting? Indiana lost with less time on the clock to Charlotte. They had 0.7 seconds and lost on a 60-footer. So it would have been devastating to lose that game in Mackey as well.
All right, Jay, we look forward to hearing from you a little bit later at halftime. I know you and Carl Ravitch will be along and fill us in on all the big doings that are going on in college basketball. It's just a wonderful season in college hoops this year. Davis loose on the inside for the Spartans.
Kiefer loses position there, has to stay between his man and the basket. You want to contest and not concede easy passes to the post, but you also, at the point of diminishing returns, need to slide behind, stay between your man and the basket.
The Spartans are doing a great job on Kiefer, just fronting him and, you know, watching him shoot free throws today. He was the champion at practice for the Boilermakers. He's got a great shot. If he would just somehow get himself open, he could shoot it from 15, 16 feet, and the Boilermakers can really use 42 to step it up a little bit. Now 4 on the shot. Here's Kiefer. Uses the glass and got it off in time, and Purdue's up 17-16. And right back at you, a missed Teague rebound.
Kiefer almost looked surprised on that last basket. Like, look what I found. Thank you. Again, Purdue on that last possession used the entire clock. Contrasting styles here. Purdue wants to be patient, put 9, 11, 10 touches, what they used to call solid gold when I was an assistant there for Gene Katie. Means nothing but a wide open look, trying to get the ball down low. Very patient here, hoping the defense breaks down, somebody turns their head, somebody reaches or fouls.
And again, it is Kiefer. So he puts up back-to-back field goals, and Hartley, who is on the floor for him. Chris Hartley, the sophomore out of Noblesville, Indiana, fed him the ball in the post. And Shannon Brown carrying the load offensively. He has exploded. Just a great, great athletic ability.
Only a sophomore, Brent. Had the chance to coach him over in Douai, France, the 19 and under USA team this past summer. A pleasure to coach and work with.
McKnight hooked in. And as he came around, nope, going the other way.
This last possession was solid goal for Purdue. Very patient. Nice post up by Kiefer, turning, using the glass. Again, deep into the shot clock possession. Controlling tempo, dictating tempo. Nice
Davis going to go over the top to him. Is it 3 in a row? Yes, it is. They have found Kiefer here.
Purdue putting on a clinic offensively here. Beautiful high-low look.
And off a foot. Davis almost stole it. The crowd a little uneasy about what's going on out here right now.
Looked like Pele there, using the feet, the hands. He plays football, soccer. What else does he do? Beautiful pass here. What we call corner of the board. Led the offensive player beautifully right over the outstretched hand of the defender for the layup.
What we have here is an underdog barking, folks. We got a 19-point underdog with a 5-point lead right now, 21-16, and Hill up firing the three, and he cuts into it.
Well, they're a big underdog, but Gene Cady is a bulldog, and his teams play with bulldog competitive spirit, even this year with their slow start in every basketball game.
Teague missing, and now the Spartans are back at you. Ager goes airborne. Trannon lost it.
Trannon has to grab that ball with 2 hands. Don't try and dribble a loose ball. You pick up a loose ball, secure it on the chest, under the chin, elbows out, treat it like it's gold, like a diamond.
He has a very large hand, which certainly helps him as a receiver. This ball is a little bit bigger, you know? Agreed. It's McKnight.
Look at patience by Purdue, probing.
Now it's Davis's turn in low with the jump hook. Couldn't get it to fall, but he had the look. Ager off the dribble on Hartley, and the foul call. So we'll take a break. Purdue and Gene Cady up by 2 with 7:21 to go in the first. Let's talk now about the Purdue shooting and scoring.
Well, we look at this possession here with Kiefer on the block. Purdue can't get in from the wing, so they change angles and they go in high-low, which is smart basketball. And then we see Teague here taking a shot open, but from outside, long range. And when Purdue has struggled this year, they've relied too much from the perimeter. And this is not the points per game. It's the field goal average per game. David Teague taking 15 a game. Brandon Knight, 13 a game, yet they're shooting in the low 30s. And the guys that are getting less shots, Kiefer and Landry, are shooting the 50s and 60s. So that's a problem as a coach. Purdue has to be willing to get deeper in the shot clock like they are tonight. That's why they're shooting over 50% against a tough Michigan State team on the road.
Gary Ware, out of Detroit, who went to a JC, has checked in for Purdue. That's what Matt Kiefer has contributed here tonight, and Ware will give him a blow as the Spartans come up to the free throw line, trailing it by 2, 7:21. Ager steps up now. He's a junior, right down the road in Detroit, out of Crockett High School, averaging 13 points a game. And Michigan State with 6 players averaging in double figures. Very unusual in college basketball.
Actually, the only team in the country, Brett, with 6 players averaging double figures. 2 teams, Washington and Texas, are close percentage points to getting a 6, but they only have 5 at this point. Incidentally, 3 pretty good teams: Texas, Washington, Michigan State. That balance is what every coach wants.
21-20, Purdue with a 1-point lead, and 7 minutes to go here in the opening half. Hartley feeds Landry down low. He waits for McKnight. They reload Landry. Trannon all over. And Landry says, let's play a little basketball. And the foul is called on the football player. And Landry didn't like the aggressiveness of the foul. So was Steve Lavin from East Lansing, Michigan. Folks, I'm glad you're not here. I'm glad wherever you are, I will tell you it's warmer than what it is outside. I mean, you should see the California boy, Steve Lavin, the former Bruin coach. I mean, he's got the longies on. He's got the hood on. It's unbelievable when you come over here. I tell you, that slickness in your hair, it locks up on you when you come to the ballpark, my friend.
Hey, there's no question. This has been tough. You got to gut it out. Luckily, I had my 3 years in the Big Ten at Purdue as a reference or an experience. I might need some antifreeze tonight on the way home with this.
We'd rather be doing that Mississippi State-Alabama game. Huh?
Where's the Florida
Dan Steers. Send us down to the SEC, Danny. Give us some of those Southern games, will you? Gainesville.
Holy cow. Help us out. We got to pick up the Pac-10 conference.
Well, Henry at the free throw line, and it's 23-20. Actually, we look forward to Thursday nights, too. We've got Iowa Champaign against the high-flying Illini down there. That's going to be a dandy of a game. Brown here with another one at inside of 7 minutes, 23-22. Boilers up by 1 right now.
Michigan State on that last possession in transition before Purdue could get organized and set their defense. Shannon Brown into the lane for a little runner.
And Trannon steals at that time. Torbert up jump shot. Out there, air ball, rebound, Purdue. Spartans trying to find a team rhythm here tonight. McKnight misfires and out of bounds, though it will be Michigan State basketball. Neitzel is back up here, Steve. He's coming back in.
Torbert, highly recruited out of high school. McDonald's All-American, came in with incredible expectation. Forced that shot there in the corner, but it's been very productive for the Spartans this year.
Alan Anderson back in the game. Trannon, Hill, Torbert, and Neitzel now running the point for Tom Izzo. Over the top, Trannon slams it down. Touchdown, Spartans. Long pass, you got to play D after you score. They don't kick off. Trannon's got to learn. You got to get back.
No time to celebrate. Both these teams playing heads up and alert in transition, but I don't think either coach is happy with their defense. The high, pick and roll. They clear the post, over the top, flush it home.
Izzo just got in Trannon's face and in no uncertain terms said, we don't showboat after a hoop. I mean, he got right in his wheelhouse.
Well, different than football. You know, when you score a touchdown in football, there's a little time. I don't necessarily want to do a mooner, but there is time. In basketball, it's split second. You got to get right back. There is no time to relax, to lollygag, to short leg. You got to get back and scramble.
Deadlock to 24, Steve.
In football, there's that stop in the action. Very little stop in the action in basketball. When I was at UCLA, we actually had Mercedes Lewis, who was a tight end for the UCLA Bruins, and he brought some toughness to our practices. I like having football players, even players that didn't play in college, but maybe played Pop Warner or played for a couple years in high school and then decide to focus on basketball. I think it's a real plus, that toughness.
Hill was wide open, missed the three, Purdue basketball.
Interesting to watch Brandon McKnight, a senior who's been through the Big Ten battles against Drew Neitzel, who's just starting out on his career, just starting down the path that McKnight is now finishing in his career.
Steve, it's been my experience with football players that they all think they're better basketball players than the guys on the floor.
Well, just like entertainers. They all want to be athletes, and all athletes want to be rappers and entertainers and actors.
Now here, folks, is coaching.
Rocky Marciano, right
in him. Honest man who just does an unbelievable job. 3 consecutive Final Fours. They won the championship in 2000, beat Florida for the national title. Hartley checks back in, working against a coaching legend, Gene Cady. As you go around the country and you talk to folks, you realize just how popular Cady is with the entire coaching community. I've yet to meet anyone in this business who has ever had a bad word about Gene Cady. I think that Bob Knight tried one night, and Gene says, oh, yeah? And I think after that, Bob decided, you know, Gene's not such a bad guy after all. That would have been a one-rounder, General. One-rounder.
Gene Cady with a winning record against Bob Knight. How about that? All those years, them going head-to-head. And he comes out on top in terms of one-loss record. Very few people, I think, are aware of that.
Neitzel blows in, off-balance shot, loose. On the floor, great hustle by Brown. Neitzel nails the three.
Nice backspin, good feathery fingertip touch by Neitzel. Had time to get set, really use his legs and get some lift on that shot.
Let me give Raleigh credit. He's actually the player who went on the floor down there and saved that loose ball.
You know, Izzo and Katie really are similar. They kind of mirror each other. Same values, same belief in fundamentals, not just in the game, but in life. Loyalty, work ethic, really preparing their kids for the game of life. And, of course, Izzo with a great mentor in Judd Heathcote, who's great friends with Gene Katie. So, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, chip off the old block. All those terms are really accurate here. Appropriate.
Bad pass. That is the 5th turnover by the Boilermakers here, and he'll hoist a long 3 off the iron. Namath checked in at that last break for the Spartans. The one advantage that Gene Katie and the Purdue folks thought that Michigan State had, the depth over there. Izzo can get 10 deep easily with quality players.
Well, we saw that in the Arizona-UCLA game. The younger UCLA players wore down. Jordan Farmar late in that game was tired, and Salim Stoudemire, the senior, was stronger. Got to know how to fight your fight in the late rounds. Veterans, experienced players understand how to step up, and younger players struggle with that.
Davis ships it. Keeper off the bobble, and Davis muscling for the rebound is fouled, and that was Raleigh, the junior from Indianapolis, committing the personal. I think Davis felt he caught about a 6-yarder, and a linebacker came up here and pummeled him on this. And we've got a timeout.
Where's the flag?
And beware of Leonard Hamilton a couple years down the road. He'll get the show on the road in Tallahassee. Wake Forest a little bit fat-headed after that huge win over North Carolina. And they're getting down there and getting popped, but there's still time.
So 18 to 22-year-old kids, it's so tough. They end up playing in peaks and valleys emotionally. You get too high or you get too low. You got to come right back the next day. Florida State last year had an outstanding season at home.
A little bit better shooting rhythm on the second one, but still a bad result. But Purdue digs it out.
A little bit like a wrestler there. That happens when you had the helmet on for a couple months.
Yeah, still trying to get into basketball shape. Here's Kiefer down low. There's Davis trying to dig it out, and it's Purdue ball.
Well, there's an example of him just being active, having a nose for the ball, putting himself in the basket area where he can mix it up a little bit.
3:33 to go here in the first half, and Michigan State up by 2.
Knights will get some extended minutes here in conference play. Good for him late in the year. He's going to need this experience when they come down the stretch in Big Ten.
Dillon with 15 on the shot. Michigan State ball. Knights whips it beautifully. And one. Delco Raleigh on the receiving end, and Drew Neitzel showing you why he was such a highly regarded freshman guard coming out of Grand Rapids. What a beautiful pass.
Well, that's threading the needle. In transition, Tom Izzo talked about wanting to push the ball, getting out against the Boilermakers, taking advantage in transition of trying to get some easy baskets, 3rd or 4th basket in transition like that before the Boilermakers can get set defensively.
And the Spartans, with their depth off the bench, build a 5-point lead here at the 3-minute mark of the first half. Ford sends it over now through Keeper.
See the high and wide spacing, ball movement, man movement, screening. Probing.
Never got it down inside. Settled for the perimeter shot, but an offensive rebound and a fresh 35.
You're absolutely right, Brent. At some point after you swing the ball, you either got to get touched down the block or get some gap penetration like
that. And he'll be shooting a pair of free throws. Hold on. Going the other way. Goes against Kiefer. So the 6th turnover by the Boilermakers in this half, and the Spartans add to that 5-point margin.
formation. Michigan State is on the half court in their set. In transition, they want to run the fly pattern, get out. But on the half court, they're a very deliberate, pattern, patient team.
Here's Brown, 5 on the shot. Fade away, good.
He's on fire. We've seen in transition, step back off the dribble, the alley-oop dunk.
And it's turned over. They can make this a double-digit run before the end of the half.
Well, you see the fatigue, the cumulative effect collectively. Michigan State, Tom Izzo managing his bench very well, trying to wear down the Boilermakers.
The Spartans started this run trailing by 1, and they've run off 8 consecutive, a minute and a half. Neitzel has been on the floor for much of it. Anderson lost the handle, but a foul is called. So Teague committed the personal.
So many teams running the pick and rolls on the floor all across college basketball. International play brought that back into popularity. We've seen now the last 10, 15 years. They've kind of brought back so many ball screens and dribble handoffs. It's fun to watch. Very difficult to defend. That pick and roll creates indecision. Younger players not sure how to guard it. And that indecision is what leads to the opening.
Michigan State calls timeout here with 1:19 left in the first half. And they have opened up a 7-point margin. Steve, what's your feeling about the Boilermakers ball handling as we note the turnovers that they've had here?
Well, just across the board, this Purdue team has worked hard. It's admirable, but they don't have the personnel they've had in years past. And you go back to Steve Scheffler, Jim Rowinski, Troy Lewis, Everett Stevens, Todd Mitchell, recently Brian Cardinal, even the Woody Austins and Chuck Whites. And, you know, I think that's really the biggest issue right now. Brad Miller, Doug Lee, Kurt Clausen. You go back over the years, they don't have the personnel inside or on the perimeter. But give Coach Katie credit and this team credit for continuing to work hard. And tonight, they're giving an admirable effort. Just not a lot of ability on the floor right now.
And Michigan State has gone 11 deep against Katie and the Boilermakers in this game. 11 Spartans, and they've contributed. It's 32-25, Michigan State. Neitzel will bring it to the attack with Ford on it. Anderson lost the handle, and Teague down low commits another personal. 2 quick ones in a row on Teague.
Also, I should add, Brent, if they had 2 or 3 more players coming off the bench who could really be productive for them, then I think the starters, who do have some ability and are capable, would be less likely to wear down as they have in so many games this year.
And we have seen that here over the last few minutes of this game. And, of course, on Thursday night on ESPN, Iowa will be taking on Illinois in Champaign. The Illini off to that 18-0 start. They've been the clear-cut #1 ever since they destroyed Wake Forest in Champaign.
They're playing the best basketball from beginning to this point in the season of anybody in the country, but don't count out the Hawkeyes. Still very dangerous. Love Greg Bruner, Horner, Pierre Pierce. Nice team. They're even getting contribution to that Doug Thomas, the freshman, Eric Hansen, the big 7-footer. They're still capable of making some big noise in the Big Ten Conference.
The Boilermakers desperate now for a field goal. This 10-0 run occurred over the last 5 minutes of this basketball game. Landry was 7. Stay around the perimeter. Now 5 on the shot. Now 3. 1 and a violation. They don't even get the shot off with 34 seconds remaining.
We'll see Michigan State now go for 1 shot to finish the half.
My friends double-crossed them. They've been shorting the count all night, and that time they lengthened them, and they got the turnover. It's the student body that got that one.
Of course. Plus, they got the full court press, the propaganda literature that the student section comes up with. Better than the French Revolution, this stuff, underground.
Oh, the home court advantage. You can't beat it, folks. Here comes Landry on the steal. Can he end the run? He does with the left hand, and the Spartans wisely don't put him on the free throw line. Timeout. All by Katie and the Boilermakers here. 5.9 remaining. He'll try to set the defense. So let's take a look back now on this date in college basketball history. Steve Alford was once Coach Bob Knight's prize pupil in Indiana, the leader of a championship team. And on this date, he returned as a rival coach.
Gave me chills, you know, seeing Indiana on the chest again, because I know what that was like. It's a special place to play.
We'll see Mr. Alford and the Iowa Hawkeyes in Champaign on Thursday night on ESPN. Everywhere I go, there's a buzz that if anything goes wrong in Indiana, Steve Alford is going back to his alma mater. What do you hear about that, my friend?
Well, you know, I have great empathy for Mike Davis. When I was at UCLA, every year, same thing when Jim Herrick was there was always a rumored candidate to take your place. Yet Coach Herrick was fortunate to be there 8 years. I was fortunate to be there 7 years. As a coach, you just have to stay focused on continuing to keep your team on the path of improvement. But I don't think it's a big secret that Alford's had interest at different points in his career, possibly returning back to his alma mater. And I'm sure there's a lot of fans who would like to see it. But right now, Mike Davis is under contract, and he's the head coach. And so we don't want to add fuel to that fire. I guess we already did.
You think?
You started
You brought it up.
Let's see. For me, it was Digger Phelps.
Hey,
John
you know, I got a call from it. Asked me
Rick
about
Majerus.
that. Dick Vitale called me on the way to the Texas game last night and asked me.
Oh, he's the biggest stir stick. He's the straw that stirs.
I said, Dick, I'll check into it. You know, so I did. You were the first person I found.
Dick's always stirring it up. Spiking those ratings.
That's it, man.
Yeah, I think when I was UCLA, it was Rick Majerus at one point, John Calipari, Rick Pitino. Digger Phelps, he was going to come out of retirement at one point. Was having secret meetings with the chancellor up at Bel Air. I don't know. It's tough, but that's part of coaching.
We don't have any. You're going to stay right here. You're not going back.
No, I really like this. Hey, undefeated, second consecutive year unbeaten.
When do you like getting up at 6 o'clock for that commuter down to Champaign tomorrow?
Finally giving UCLA those undefeated seasons they wanted. Unbeaten.
Well, the Spartans bring it up here with the final seconds of the first half, and they put down another one. Beautiful, Ager. Wow. At the buzzer.
Gene Katie not happy. As he would say, are you kidding me, Brent?